So I kind of went ham on Amazon.com last week, and I bought way too many graphic novels. Graphic novels, yes. I just saw them, and I'm like, I gotta have them. Since it's so hard to like devote time to comic books and stuff now, it is nice from time to time to have little compendiums or collections or one-off graphic novels that you can just kind of pick up and put a bookmark in it if you need to, and just read it and then be done with it, put it back on the shelf and be done with it. You're not following like 100 comics at a time. I like that. Do I miss issue-to-issue comics? Yeah, but this also makes stuff easier sometimes, and the one-off stories you get sometimes with graphic novels is very cool too. So I like both. I'm still not a huge fan of the phrase graphic novel. It just sounds so, yes, hoity-toity, yes, give me a graphic novel. But yeah. Anyways, I'm a huge fan of like The Long Halloween. That's my favorite Batman comic series. I love the graphic novelized compendium collection that's, all the comics in one big issue. Love that shit. It's my favorite Batman comic of all time is The Long Halloween. The second has to be The Dark Knight Returns. Obviously, I think it's probably everybody's top two at this point. Have those, the great books. Killing Joke is fantastic. I think Killing Joke is not as good as everybody says. I think it's a bit overrated. Still good, but it's such a short little book. Good, but it's so short. Like, I never really felt like I was diving into any kind of meat and potatoes, so to speak, if that makes any sense at all. It probably doesn't, but that's besides the point. It's my video, and I can ramble if I want to about shit that doesn't make sense. But anyways, yeah, among many other Batman and whatever else graphic novels I have in there, I figured I'd pick up a few more. So first on the list is a Spider-Man graphic novel, which I'm not really sure is if it's a one-off intended just to be a one-off graphic novel, or if it's a collection of multiple comic books put into a compendium. I'm not really sure. I'm a huge Hobgoblin fan, and I wanted a long read, so I found this online, and a brand new copy, I believe. And this camera's awesome. Hobgoblin Lives, Spider-Man Hobgoblin Lives. And I read a couple reviews, said it was good stuff. I don't know too much about the story, or if it's what issues it collects. If it collects any, it might just be its own thing entirely. Let me know in the comments what it is. But yeah, I'm a big sucker for Hobgoblin. I think he's probably my favorite goblin besides Demo Goblin, or Demo Goblin. I think some of you call him Demo Goblin. I call him Demo Goblin. Yeah, I'm super stoked to have this. It's a pretty long read. It looks like a pretty thick graphic novel, so looking forward to this. Haven't opened it yet, but I'll get around to reading it eventually. Up next, I got Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Strikes Again, which I've heard nothing but bad things about. Nothing but bad things. I don't know anybody who said a good thing about this book, but I loved The Dark Knight Returns, and I really wanted to read the sequel, which is this. I think this is a direct sequel to that book. So I'm looking forward to this. I'm not too influenced by everybody else's opinion. The art style looks like it's pretty much in line with that of The Dark Knight Returns. It has, super glossy pages and stuff, but yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I'm down for some weirder. I think his comics are really strange. They have sort of a heavy metal style, not art style, but a heavy metal feel and tone to them, if that makes any sense. Like the magazine, having heavy metal magazines. But yeah, looking forward to this. I also bought Batman Year One, which I've never read before, surprisingly. Batman Year One, which I've heard good things about, which I believe is an official prequel to Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns series. I think this is all in the same, in-universe canon of that version of Gotham or whatever. Correct me if I'm wrong. I might be totally wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure Year One is the first story in Frank Miller's version of Batman. It's Year One, Dark Knight Returns, Dark Knight Strikes Again, and then the Batman, the Dark Knight 3, whatever that one's called. So yeah, looking forward to this. I've never read this before. I've never read. I was not really. I'm not even sure if I was alive at the time, but if I wasn't reading the issues at the time. I don't think I was even existed yet. But Batman: A Death in the Family, which is the collected comics, that arc where Robin, I think they voted to have Robin killed or whatever. I believe this is that, and I saw this on Amazon. I was like, I need to have that. I don't have that. I would like to read it. And judging by the art style within, it's definitely more of the classic comics. You can tell collected. This is the art style. So good, so good. Really looking forward to this. I've heard nothing but good things about it. I heard this kind of a cop out at the end, but I'm not sure what that is. I've never actually spoiled that for myself. I'm sure it's where Robin doesn't actually die. I think that's what it is. But I've never read this arc. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it now. I've heard nothing but good things. Not to be confused with Death of the Family, which came out rather recently. This is Death in the Family, which is from an arc that happened in the early 80s. Is that correct? I think early 80s. I could be totally wrong. Correct me in the comics. And apologies if I'm wrong. And last but not least, this is the third comic, the third Batman story I was talking about from Frank Miller. The Master Race is what it's called. I'm not sure how many issues this was in its run, but this is the collected graphic novel version with all of them together. I think this completes Frank Miller's Batman story. This is the one that I know nothing about at all, really. I'm not sure if it's good or bad. I've heard nobody really talk about it. The art style looks way more polished than the first two, but it also has the same sort of art style at the same time, so that's weird. It's a lot more modern, Photoshop-y looking, like it was colored in Photoshop. I'm sure it was. But the lines look a bit thicker. The ink is, the inking is a bit. It just looks more overall polished. So I guess it still fits into those first two. But you can tell it's definitely a newer entry for sure. But yeah, looking forward to this too. Obviously, going to read Dark Knight Strikes Again. For those of you that have read Dark Knight Strikes Again and The Master Race, which do you think is better out of the two, and why? Without spoiling too much in the comments, let me know what you think. So that's my haul for right now of graphic novels. Yes, and I'm very stoked to own those. So I can't wait to read them a year and a half from now, whenever I actually get the chance to read them. So yeah, thanks for watching.